Number 15, 99 Luftballons by Nina. The 80s German hit was a catchy jam with an endearing melody, not only in Germany but everywhere in the world. But unless you were fluent in German, the hit song's secret meaning went over most people's heads. The United States overlooked much of the German lyrics, which was basically the entire song. Then, once 99 Luftballons started selling big time, the band was asked to record it in English. This was when the secret meaning was revealed. Apparently, the song is actually about a post-nuclear battle.
Panic bells, it's red alert. There's something here from somewhere else. The war machine springs to life, opens up one eager eye, focusing in on the sky. The 99 red balloons go by.
In it, the 99 red balloons caused a false alarm, which set off a chain of events that has led to the attack, as the balloons are let off into the horizon. A sad but poignant song, this message certainly doesn't come across in the buoyant melody coupled with foreign lyrics, but really, it was only secret to those who couldn't decode German. Number 14, Firework by Katy Perry. Some people want their ashes sprinkled in the ocean when they pass away. Others want to be buried in the family plot, but pop stars might be a little more eccentric when it comes to disposing of their earthly frame. Katy Perry seems to prove they are by telling Billboard magazine the secret message behind her hit song Firework. She is informing us all of her funeral arrangements. Basically, I have this very dark idea, she told Billboard magazine. When I pass, I want to be put into a firework and shot across the sky over the Santa Barbara ocean as my last hurrah. That's a pretty dark way to make a lasting final impression. Number 13, 10,000 Days by Tool. While most secret messages hidden in famous songs are pretty simple to find, Tool wanted to make tools out of everyone by creating a DIY project. Out of their progressive metal songs, some assembly required, the project isn't as simple as playing one song and then the next to create an epic of sorts. Rather, you must play them all at once. The songs, 10,000 Days, Wings for Marie, and Vingini Trez. The lengths of the latter two are 6 minutes 11 seconds and 5 minutes 2 seconds, while 10,000 Days runs 11 minutes 13 seconds, so the latter two play over the long track. Vingini Trez must be played before Wings for Marie to correspond to 10,000 Days. Knowing the secret to overlay these songs will certainly make you feel like you're in the know. In fact, the weird noises of Vingini Trez suddenly make sense when they're coupled with the 10,000 Days melody, while the vocals from Wings for Marie and 10,000 Days combine to create alternative lyrics, i.e. a secret message. Tool has neither denied nor confirmed the claims that they created this intricate masterpiece, which makes one think that perhaps there's something even more hidden to it. Number 12, Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. When Foster the People turned out Pumped Up Kicks, many didn't listen too closely to the dark lyrics behind the upbeat tune. Like 99 Luftballons, the song seems to be about something a lot simpler and more peaceful than it actually is. Mark Foster, who wrote the composition, was inspired by real-life topics, those topics being shootings in schools. As he told CNN.com, "I wrote Pumped Up Kicks when I began to read. about the growing trend in teenage mental illness, I was scared to see where the pattern was headed if we didn't start changing the way we were bringing up the next generation. Both Foster and the band's bassist have ties to this epidemic, as Foster was himself a bully victim in high school, while Cubby Fink, the bassist, had a cousin who lived through Columbine. Foster insists this song isn't about condoning the attacks, but rather about talking to kids about a subject that is often avoided. Pumped Up Kicks are the shoes worn by the troubled youth's peers in school, kids that the listener can assume are well off enough to buy some expensive sneakers. Now, when you listen to the chorus, you might think differently about singing merrily along. Number 11, Revolution Number 9 by The Beatles.
Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9.
There's nothing like a good conspiracy theory to fire up Beatlemania. In 1968, the band released the White Album, which was quickly deemed a masterpiece, but it wasn't until Beatles fans listened very closely to the hodgepodge of sound heard in Revolution Number 9 that some started to wonder what this all might mean, as someone speaks the words number 9 over and over again, alongside crying, screaming, and what seems to be a crash of some sorts. A fan decided to listen to the noise backwards, and that's when the discovery of the phrase, "Turn me on, dead man," was made. This led many conspiracy theorists to feed the rumor mill, a rumor that Paul McCartney had passed away. It also sparked the reverse speech movement, in which theorists started to believe subliminal messages were hidden in backmasking. Speech analyst John Kelly took it a step further, telling HuffPost that encrypted phase, which I believe John Lennon found at EMI Studios, was made by an engineer as an audio test. Yet the message alluded to the counterculture phrase, tune in, turn on, and drop out, as well as government mind control experiments. Some honestly still think that the Paul McCartney that we see today is just a look-alike. Their proof isn't that he hasn't turned out great hits like Eleanor Rigby or Yesterday, but rather pop fluff. Not enough proof in my book. Maybe he just ran out of hits. Number 10, Single Ladies by Beyonce. You probably wouldn't think that Beyonce's Single Ladies would have any message beyond empowering ladies who are single, but you'd be wrong. At least to some conspiracy theorists, you'd be dead wrong. The song itself isn't chock full of backmasking and hidden meaning, but according to some, the music video allegedly proves that Beyonce worships Satan. Well, with all of its secret messages substantiating that claim, of course, as explained in a 6-year-old post on the Media Exposed Tumblr, the popular Single Ladies video, one of the best music videos of all times, at least according to Kanye West, is absolutely full of satanic choreography. The first dance move that hints at the satanic is when Beyonce and her two backup dancers, who are dressed in black, put their right hands on their hips and their left arms curved up. The right arm forms a wing, while the left forms snakes, which is of course the winged serpent, aka Satan. The dancers then begin to circle a beam of light, like 3 dark angels around the winged sun disk, which was first worshipped by Lucifer according to the post. The next blatant Satan-worshipping stance comes during the line, "Don't pay him any attention," as Beyonce stands in the God Almighty stance, with her 2 backup dancers crouching below. This supposedly means one must pay God no attention. Next, they spell out Halo with their bodies in a winged serpent pose, with the left dancer forming the L with Beyonce, while the other 2 dancers form an H. Beyonce does the winged serpent gesture again in the middle of the sun, and according to the poster, Beyonce's hit Halo is about being possessed by demons. This one's a bit of a stretch if you ask me. And last but not least, in the final image, the all-seeing eye appears to Beyonce's left. The worst is not yet over. According to this backmasked audio file, Beyonce and her crew put out the following secret message. It seems a number of pop singers have been accused of Satan worshipping. While it's all very intriguing, it sure sounds like some blatant McCarthyism to me. Number 9. Revelation number 9 by Marilyn Manson. Following the Beatles' lead, Marilyn Manson backmasked his own revelation in the song Revelation number 9 on the B-side for the single Get Your Gun. The revelation was a little more haunting than the Beatles' own, with someone declaring, "You are on the other side now, there ain't no going back once you've been here." Number 8. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
And when she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed.
This list would be remiss not to mention Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. As with many on this list, the song was targeted by Christian fundamentalists who claimed that backmasking had hidden secret messages. Paul Crouch of the Trinity Broadcasting Network appeared in a TV program on January 1982. In the program, he alleged that midway through Stairway to Heaven, a hidden message says, "Here's to my sweet Satan," and "I sing because I live with Satan." This is the reverse of the track. During the phrase, "If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now," this is when things got a little crazy in the government sphere with backmasking, as some legislators tried to impose a warning label on those records that purportedly contained it. In fact, it went so far as the Consumer Protection and Toxic Materials Committee of the California State Assembly in April of 1982. It was then that a hearing on backmasking was held, in which Stairway to Heaven was one of the prime examples of these subliminal messages being forced upon listeners. The hearing called in William Yarl, who called himself a neuroscientific researcher, and declared that the brain could, in fact, decode backmasking, meaning the subliminal messages really could get through, even if spoken backwards. This is all from a self-proclaimed researcher, mind you. Led Zeppelin has largely ignored the crazy claims, although the band's audio engineer said the claims were totally and utterly ridiculous, while the band's recording company, Swan Song Records, said in a statement, "Our turntables only play in one direction, forwards." Number 7, This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York Island.
The song seems like a patriotic, uplifting chorus of America love, but if you know the hidden message behind it, you'll understand it's more like a jab at the injustices that can be found in this land. In reality, Guthrie was a communist sympathizer, so when he wrote, "This land is your land, this land is my land," he meant just that. The focal point of the song wasn't so much the idea that America should share its land with immigrants, The country being the melting pot that it is, it was that the public ownership of property might not be such a bad thing. In fact, Guthrie wrote this land in response to the ultra-patriotic and sentimental tune of the time, God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love.
He believed that God bless didn't represent the people, i.e. the working class citizens of the United States. He looked at it as basic propaganda. In fact, one of his lyrics that didn't make the final cut of the song, but was found amongst his work, reads as follows. One bright sunny morning in the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office I saw my people. As they stood hungry, I stood there wondering if God blessed America for me. Guthrie wrote the simple melody in 1945, 2 years before U.S. Senator Joe McCarthy invigorated the Second Red Scare, a time during which a campaign against communism and political repression was at its height. Everyone was afraid of the Soviets, and McCarthy was at the forefront of this fear.
All around me a voice was sounding, this land was made for you and me.
Number 6, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. Now, there are songs that cause controversy, and then there are songs that require our government to investigate the secret messages behind them. The song Louie Louie was one of the latter. It was so controversial that it underwent FBI investigation for 2 whole years. Listen to Louie Louie, and you'd probably agree that the song lyrics are muddled and confusing, incomprehensible really, so it probably won't come as a surprise that theorists began to surmise that the lyrics were obscene. This led to the FBI investigation of the song, because at the time, it was the Bureau's job to censor obscenities. So when they received a letter from the Sarasota High School suggesting that the lyrics were so filthy that I cannot enclose them in this letter, the Bureau had to open a case file on the song. We all know that there is obscene materials available for those who seek it, the letter read, but when they start sneaking in this material, in the guise of the latest teenage rock and roll hit record, these morons have gone too far. The case file did include what the complainant heard in the lyrics, but we won't go into that here. The official lyrics are pretty tame, with a young woman waiting for her lover as he crosses the sea. The man doesn't think he'll make it back home, and he's thinking about the girl all the time. As the end of the song, the man hopes to see his love and swears he'll never leave her again. Listening to the gargled song, you might not hear these official lyrics as sung. In fact, the FBI literally analyzed Louie Louie for 2 years, playing the song at various speeds, trying to catch the supposed obscene secret message. The investigation didn't go so far as to contact the songwriter himself, Jack Ely, and they were not able to determine whether the so-called secret message in the lyrics was obscene or not. So nothing ever came of it. This just goes to show that some people may be hearing secret messages that don't even exist. Number 5, Michael by Franz Ferdinand. You might know Franz Ferdinand, the Scottish indie rock band, from such early 2000 hits as Take Me Out and Know You Girls, but it was on their bromantic song, Michael, that a secret message was backmasked in. She's worried about you, call your mother. If for some reason you were thinking about your mother and then decided to play Michael backwards, a creeped out sensation might be sent up your spine. But if you never thought to play the record backwards, then you probably just jammed out, not thinking about your mother. The message was put there in reference to Bob Hardy, the band's bassist, who was always fretting over calling his mom while touring. I'm sure this secret message in Michael serves as a reminder to him to phone home, better than tying a bass string around your finger. Number 4, Empty Spaces by Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd had fun with hidden messages in their track Empty Spaces. Their hidden message was placed right before the lyrical sensation of the song. On the left channel, played forward it's mumbo jumbo, played backwards you hear the greeting, hello looker, followed by, you have just discovered the secret message, please send your answer to Old Pink, care of the Funny Farm shelf font. Then someone shouts at Roger, Roger Waters, the band's bassist we assume, to inform him that Carolyn's calling. Carolyn being the real name of Waters' then wife. That wraps up the secret message. Some consider the Old Pink in question might be a nickname for Sid, Pink Floyd's lead guitarist. The message seems to imply that Old Pink went insane and now lives at a psych ward in Chalfont. While many listeners may have gotten the joke, others likely sent fan mail to this mystery address, proving that they too might end up at the Funny Farm someday. Number 3, Judas's Kiss by Petra. Some bands had a little fun with backmasking. Petra, for instance, must have thought it was pretty funny that some of these Christian fundamentalist groups were getting all up in arms about secret messages hidden in songs. The evil rock musicians were allegedly trying to make their listeners do bad things through backmasking and other subliminal messages, according to the fundamentalists, so Petra decided to speak directly to them in a somewhat creepy way. It was in Judas's Kiss, on the album More Power to Ya, that the band poked fun at the accusations. The song's intro involved speech that was obviously reversed, suggesting that there was a secret message hidden in backmasking. When the fundamentalist groups dug into it, they heard the following direct message: "What are you looking for the devil for when you ought to be looking for the Lord?"
What are you looking for the devil for when you ought to be looking for the Lord?
The band suddenly turned these fundamentalist groups on their heads by calling them out on the allegedly embedded subliminal messages that the groups were looking for in rock music. The band was probably hoping the fundamentalists might think again before trying to pick apart songs to find something that wasn't there, and instead focus on what they claimed was important to them, the Lord. But judging by the rest of this list, I doubt that happened. Number 2, Third Stone from the Sun by Jimi Hendrix. One might expect a song called Third Stone from the Sun to be about earthly things, but some believe that Jimi Hendrix had alien communication in mind when he wrote this tune for the rock jazz instrumental album, Are You Experienced? Third Stone is the trippiest track on the record, and if you play the vinyl at 45 RPM, you will be privy to an alien conversation. The pair of aliens are chit-chatting as they close in on Earth, one in the Starfleet, the other in the Scout Ship.
Starfleet to Scout Ship, please give your position. Over.
I am in orbit around the third planet of star known as Sun. Over.
May this be Earth. Over.
Positive, it is known to have some form of intelligent species. Over.
I think we should take a look.
The Scout Ship gives its position, which is nearing Earth. According to the Scout Ship, Earth likely has some intelligent species on it. When he goes to investigate, he reports his findings. Strange, beautiful grass of green, with your majestic silver seas, your mysterious mountains I wish to see closer. He asks to land his kinky machine on Earth. The conversation ends on a creepy note as the alien says, "Although your world wonders me, with your majestic and superior cackling hen, your people I do not understand, so to you I shall put an end. You'll never hear surf music again. What a sad end that would be." Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. I'm currently doing a super poll on my Instagram. If you believe ghosts are real, then go to my most recent photo and tap the like button. If you don't, DM me saying why. When you're done, come right back to this video to find out the number 1 entry. Also, follow me on Twitter at YTChills because that's where I post video updates. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person. So if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. Number 1, El Dorado by Electric Light Orchestra. Coming out of the 60s and 70s, many rock bands were backmasking, or being accused of backmasking. Backmasking involves hiding secret messages in music that can only be heard when played backwards. The Electric Light Orchestra was one of these accused bands. When the album El Dorado debuted in 1974, a number of Christian fundamentalist groups quickly jumped on the bandwagon, declaring the band were Satan worshippers. Where did they get such nonsense? From a line in the title track which they claim says, "He is the nasty one, Christ you're infernal," when played in reverse. While Electric Light Orchestra said that El Dorado had no such subliminal messaging in its composition, they taunt their fundamentalist critics by putting plenty of it in their next album, Fire on High. In fact, the very first line in the backmask message, "The music is reversible, but time is not."
The music is reversible, but time is not. Turn back, turn back, turn back, turn back.
And if you didn't turn back but continued on to their 1983 album, you'll hear a number of subliminal messages. The album is an Easter egg hunt. In fact, the album is so full of secrets that the British version contains the warning. Warning contains secret backwards messages. Even the record jacket's back cover reveals some secret messages in the forms of anagrams of the band members' names, along with the initials of the band, ELO in Morse code. If you're hanging on every backmasked word of the album, you'll hear the band very politely tell its listeners in the final track, "Thank you for listening." Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!